Hello again. This time I want to talk about queues. A queue is similar to a stack, but a queue is just the way to implement a waiting list. I have a program we're going to look at as an implementation of a queue. Here it is. And the difference here is the queue has two ends compared to the stack. There's a front of the queue, which is where we take people out of the waiting line. And there's a rear of the queue where we put people into the waiting line. This particular implementation uses an array, and it has the usual functions: is empty, is full. Enqueue is the equivalent of the push in the stack. It puts the item IT into the queue. It puts it at the rear of the queue. DQ is the equivalent to pop. It takes the item out from the front of the queue, but it does something more than pop. It also returns the value. So it does the same thing that top does. It does both pop and top from the stack. I have also written a debugging program so we can see how the things go into the queue and keep track of things. Now here's the corker. The front of the queue is always the 0th element of the list. That's convenient, easy to program, but it leads us to have this line, these lines here. After we remove the 0th element, we have to copy everything else down into in the list. So the 0th place in the list becomes what was the first place becomes what was the second, and so on all the way up to rear. If the list is long, this is not going to be acceptable. If it was just a few things, we could probably live with it. We'll think of better ways to do it very shortly. So let's watch this work and see how we can do it. The testing routine is here, so I'll put the test there so we can watch it. I'll build it. And now I'll run it. And I'll pull this output here, pull this here, put this back up so we can see both of them at the same time. So what do? I put Joe in the queue at the front. I put Mabel in the queue. Now I print it out. You can see I have Joe and Mabel. Front of the queue, end of the queue. Then I take Joe out. So here's Joe coming out right here. Now, pardon me, I didn't write it. Yes, I did. All right, now I have the front of the queue and the end of the queue. I printed it again. And I pulled out a second person before I printed it. So there's nobody left in the queue. I've taken out Joe in FI. I've taken out Mabel in SE. So you see I print SE there. That's Mabel. There's nobody left. I try to DQ once more. I get my exception thrown. So this is a very simple way of doing it. The problem is it's a little bit too much. So we're going to have to think of a better way. I'd like you to think about this. The trick, if there is a trick to this, is that we have to keep track of both the front and the rear. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a circular kind of queue where the front chases the rear and they can go around the corner, so that it won't always be the 0th place is the front. It'll be wherever it happens to be. So I'll do that in the next video. I'm not sure when it's there. It's a little late, although it's really not late for me. but I may or may not be able to do it tonight. I may wait till tomorrow. See you later now.